This is my radical revision for my essay that I wrote on marijuana. Marijuana is obviously a huge topic nowadays in the news and in society about whether or not it should be legalized or whether or not the regulations should be changed or if the enforcement should be handled differently. But I think a better question to ask is, why was it made illegal in the first place? What were the reasons? Who was it that thought it should be illegal? I think these are many things that people don't know and don't understand, and something I didn't understand. And that's what we're going to look at in what I'm going to call a mini documentary. I used to be one of those people who thought that anyone who uses marijuana has to be some sort of criminal or bad person, someone who just really doesn't give a crap about where they're going in life. Obviously, getting to college, you start to see marijuana use a lot more than pretty much anywhere else. And I started to notice that there was a lot of people smoking marijuana. And there's no way that every single one of these persons was completely failing at life. So I began to hang around with a lot of people. I knew a lot of people, know a lot of people who smoke. And there are many who do kind of just not give a crap about their grades, and they don't do very well. But there's even more people who do smoke it and do absolutely fine. Their grades are unchanged. There's even some people who excel, get straight A's, all while still smoking pot. So I started to question all my beliefs of it being such a horrible thing, to the point to where I even tried marijuana. And lo and behold, I didn't turn into some lazy bum who didn't give a crap about that test next Thursday. I was still me, and I still got my same mediocre grades. No difference. So I started to investigate where marijuana comes from, where the beliefs of marijuana comes from, why people think the things that they do. Naturally, being a young person, the first place I looked was the internet. And while scrummaging around in my Netflix account, I found a documentary. It was called The Union, The Business Behind Getting High. Kind of a hokey name, but I was intrigued and I watched it. And afterwards, I felt mildly enlightened that there's a lot of things that I didn't know about marijuana that I just kind of assumed, and society seems to assume. So what I looked for in this essay, and what I'm going to do hopefully now, is try and present some of the information that I found new and interesting and see what other people think. Marijuana, or cannabis, which is a technical term, has been used throughout history, thousands of years back, whether it be used as your typical marijuana that you smoke or as hemp. Hemp's a little different. Hemp is more of an industrial crop that has many, many different uses, from making fiber for clothes, one of the strongest, most durable fibers, if not the most. Also makes paper, same kind of deal. Very durable, very long lasting. Actually, the Declaration of Independence itself, the first copy it was written on, was on hemp paper. Ben Franklin started one of the first paper mills in America using hemp. Two other founding fathers, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, two Virginia plantation owners, their main staple crop on their plantations, particularly George Washington, was hemp for those reasons. But it was used even farther back from there. It was used by the Egyptians, the Romans, and the Greeks, all to help pains during labor when women were giving birth to children. Another place it was used and was recorded being used was in Assyria, a large empire in the Middle East. There's been records found on stone tablets of all the different pharmaceutical means they used to treat people, and marijuana was the most prevalent one there in treating a number of different things. Marijuana wasn't made illegal in the United States until the 1930s, and it was done so on some fairly racist terms, particularly towards blacks and Latinos. A number of journalists and movie makers depicted these minorities as being aggressive while on marijuana, committing crime, and wreaking havoc throughout society. One example was in a movie called Reefer Madness. But to anyone who's ever smoked marijuana or seen someone who's smoked marijuana, that's kind of the opposite effect. Most people, in fact, all people, become docile and rather passive. So it was kind of made illegal on false terms or false grounds. But either way, people started to have a negative connotation to using marijuana, particularly white people, in fear of the reefer mad minorities. This was the belief right up until World War II, where the government flip-flopped again, as they typically do, waffling on many, many different issues. All of a sudden said that it was okay, and mostly because they wanted to grow more hemp because of the war effort. They even made a film called Hemp for Victory, encouraging people, and farmers particularly, to grow hemp. But soon after the war was over, it was made illegal again.